Welcome back, everybody. Well, the time has arrived. On today's video, I will go over the rooms that I thought were the best and the worst at the 2022 AXPONA Audio Expo. Let's get to it. Please subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notifications bell so that you are notified each time I release a new video. Before I get started with what I thought were the best and the worst rooms at the 2022 AXPONA Audio Expo, I want to give you guys a couple of updates. I met with Griffin Audio and I spoke to Rune as well as Anthony. And finally, we were able to have a conversation, a face-to-face interaction. They are aware of my content and all the amount of videos that I have put out of every single Griffin amplifier currently in production, essentially. I am the only YouTuber, the only person on YouTube who has showcased every single Griffin power amplifier they make today. So, I'm happy to give you guys great news, which is they have agreed to send me a Griffin Apex. Now, we haven't talked about the timeline just yet, so that's still yet to be determined, but they have finally agreed to send me one Griffin Apex for an evaluation. So you guys will get to hear the Griffin Apex power amplifier in my room. We did not talk about the Commander, in case you're wondering, okay? So this will only be with regards to the Griffin Apex stereo amplifier. So I know you guys are just as excited as I am. Thank you, Griffin. Thank you for supporting the channel, as well as giving me the opportunity to hear what I am sure will be a mind-blowing power amplifier. Moving on. Let's talk about the rooms that impressed me. Before I go into details, as far as what I thought were the best rooms at the show, please, I want to remind you, it is my personal opinion. I will say it again. This is my opinion. Some of you guys were at the show. You may have selected other rooms that you fell in love with, and that's all fine. That's great. This is the reason why we have so many available options at our disposal, so that we can select the presentation, the sound, the tonality that checks all of our boxes. Okay, so nobody is wrong or right for choosing a specific component, a specific room, speaker, you name it. It is a matter of taste. It's a matter of what you prefer. So before I talk about the three rooms that impressed me, I want to make sure I say the following. The criteria that I used was, number one, it had to sound clear. Clarity needed to be there. I did not want a room, a speaker, an electronic, a system, if you will, that sounded veiled. I needed to hear clarity first and foremost. The second criteria was dynamics. The dynamics needed to be there. I needed to hear the speaker burst. I needed to hear the speaker explode, if you will. I needed to hear that feeling that it makes me want to jump out of my chair. Okay? That is another big trait that these three rooms shared. And then the final quality that I was looking for was soundstage. It needed to have a huge, wide, and deep presentation. Okay? I am a sucker for big sound. Big sound that sounds as if I have things coming behind my head, as if I have the music traveling behind me. That is one thing that needs to happen when I am evaluating rooms. If the speakers sound one-dimensional, I am not interested. If the speaker sounds like the music is just staying right there and nothing happens to the sides of the speakers, behind the speakers, and behind my head, that room is automatically a no-go for me. It's disqualified, okay? With that out the way, let me give you guys the top 3 rooms that I heard at the show. Third place, I have the magical M6 with the Luxman M10X mono. Now, this room was beautiful. It is no secret now that I consider the magical M6 one of the best looking speakers, period. I am 100% in love with the look of that speaker. It's actually one of the things that really broke my heart when I let my magical M6 go, because I knew that in terms of the aesthetics, in terms of the beauty of the speaker, I was not going to find something that can easily replace it. What I liked about this room was it was extremely musical. It had a tremendous amount of information, resolution, detail. It had basically every single quality that you can hope for when it comes to the presentation. And what do I mean by that? What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the coherence of the speaker, the clarity. It actually had very good bass, which I was not expecting. So that is probably the new sound and the new trait of this new Luxman M10X. I was very shocked at the amount of bass that came out of the M6s, because the first generation Luxman M900s were not known for having tremendous bass. But I'm here to tell you, I heard bass with those magical M6s and the M10X mono. So that is something that I will be evaluating. That mono is something that I will probably be buying, and I'm probably going to be evaluating it in my room. I need to get my hands on those amplifiers. I want to hear them. You guys know I'm a very big Luxman fan. I love Luxman. It's always been a great brand for me, from a sound standpoint as well as construction. Okay, another thing that I liked is I thought that speaker sounded extremely natural, very organic with the Luxman. I never felt that I was listening to a CD. The presentation felt more analog than the Source was, because the Source, in case you didn't know, was a Luxman CD player, and I never felt I was listening to a CD player. I always felt that it was something more analog like. The whole entire synergy of the system was incredible, guys. I will tell you, if you have a magical M6 out there and you're looking to inject some musicality, you should pay a close look at the Luxman M10X. I believe that pairing seems to be quite good. I liked everything I heard in that room. The music was the only thing that I had a hard time dealing with, because unfortunately they didn't have any streaming services. There was no internet in the room. In case you did not know, the internet was a problem in some rooms, because not all rooms opted to have internet. I believe it was $800 a day or something like that to have internet in a room. So some rooms, some of these exhibitors passed on the opportunity to have internet access. That said, that setup was sensational. Highly recommend that combination, that system. I believe a lot of you guys probably thought that system was really good, really impressive. In second place, I have the Sasha DAW with the Sim Audio 860 version 2, and I believe it was the 850 preamplifier along with their DAC. Let me tell you something about this room. I had just left the Sonos Faber AIDA 2 room with the Boulder 2160, and I sat there for quite some time. I left very impressed when I heard that room. I thought it was positive what I was hearing. There were times in which I thought they played the music a little bit too loud in this Sonos Faber AIDA 2 room, but I thought overall my senses were telling me that, you know, it had all those strengths that I'm a sucker for. Impact, the bass, the soundstage was there, the separation, the imaging, it was all there. So I left the Sonos Faber AIDA 2 and I walked into the Sasha DAW room with Sim Audio Electronics. And oh my God, I have to tell you guys, when I heard that system, I was sitting off to the side. I wasn't even in the sweet spot between the speaker, and I was immediately hearing the house sound of Wilson Audio, that extreme dense imaging, the big sound stage. I even got up and I remember asking one of the guys that was in charge of the room if they had subwoofers playing, and they said no subwoofers. I was impressed with the impact of that Sasha DAW in that room. Quite impressive. The sound stage opened up wall to wall, ceiling to floor. There was so much happening behind the speaker. I was extremely surprised, to the point that I thought, quite frankly, my mind was like, there's no way that this is sounding better than that Sonos Faber Aida 2 with Boulder gear, right? In my mind, I'm thinking, let me walk out and come back in. So I did that. I spoke to a couple of people outside, socialized some more, came back inside, heard the room a little more, and it was just impressive, to the point that I thought, personally, I prefer that room over the Sonos Faber Aida 2 with the Boulder gear. Yes, I know you guys are probably shocked right now, thinking that I chose a much more affordable setup over a very expensive setup, which is the Sonos Faber Aida 2, Boulder 2160, Boulder 2110, and all the electronics they had and all the cabling that they had. That Sonos Faber Aida 2 room was probably 3 to 4 times more expensive than the Sasha DAW room. And I know they were managed by the same store, so they belong to the same store. And so I am here to tell you guys, the owners of this location, this facility, I really love your Sasha DAW setup with the Sim Audio. I was completely in love. Kudos to you guys. You guys did a kick-ass job there. It's a matter of the synergy. I'm thinking the synergy of Sim Audio and Wilson is undeniable. I heard it there firsthand, guys. It was impressive. Yes, and I preferred it over the Sonos Faber Aida 2 with Boulder gear. Shocker. I know you guys are probably shocked at this, but I told you guys in the past, I do not care about rooms that have very expensive gear. If they sound bad, I'm going to tell you guys, it didn't sound that good. There was a room more affordable that sounded better, that had a better system synergy, that just really sang better. And I am going to always continue to enforce that criteria. I am not looking for expensive rooms per se. I am listening to every room that I can and giving everyone a fair opportunity, so that the winner really wins because of what they did and what they put together in that room. And if you've noticed, my last few visits to different shows, the winners of those shows, at least in my opinion, have been rooms that were far less expensive than those crazy rooms that we see with $1 million systems. Now, in first place, and I know I am going to catch some heat for this one, but I gotta say, guys, I heard this system extensively, and to me, this gave me the biggest soundstage, the best impact, clarity, resolution, imaging. Everything about this presentation was just huge, beautiful. It checked all of my boxes. It checked those things that are important to me. Now, again, I'll say it, maybe some of you guys may disagree with my number one pick, but my number one pick goes to the Focal Maestro Utopia Evos. To me, this was hands down the winner of the entire show. I can't even deny the synergy that Focal has with Name Electronics. It is just undeniable, guys. They had about $300,000 worth of electronics plugged into this speaker, and this went to show me that electronics really matter a lot, because I had a Magical M6, which is $175,000 with about $60,000 worth of electronics, more or less. Now, maybe about $75,000 worth of electronics. Okay, so you're comparing that room against Focal Maestro Evo that's $82,000, I believe, right now, with $300,000 worth of electronics. So think about it. Here you have a room with one of the most expensive speakers, the M6, but with far more affordable electronics. And then you have a room, the number one room in my opinion, with a speaker that's half the price of the Magical M6, but with triple the cost of electronics that the Magical M6 room had. And I preferred the Focal Maestro Evo. It has nothing to do with the fact that I thought it defeated everything else and it squashed everything else. No, I just felt like it did more for me. So, and by the way, I was not expecting that to be the case, because I really was pumped to discover a new speaker, something fresh, something that I may even want to bring into the room. Because to be sincere with you, I have had my thoughts already of perhaps moving on from the Maestro Evos. But the truth is, after hearing them at that show, and they showed me what they're capable of doing when properly set up, I felt like, what am I doing? What's the reason for that? So that completely killed that thought of me wanting to move away from the speakers behind me. Right, so now we are getting to the juicy stuff, the stuff you all want to hear. Now I'm going to talk about the most disappointing rooms that I heard at the show. Rooms that I had high expectations for, and I just left completely baffled and confused as to what I heard. So with that said, let's get started and talk about the rooms that really disappointed me.